you want to find out what the latest backpacking trends are from an expert, what the top 10 best sellers are? Then stay tuned.
Hello, everybody. This is Derek, and with me today is the only man who substitutes dirt for pepper in all of his meals on the trail, Carl Manrioli.
Dirt for pepper. Nice.
Yeah, God made dirt. Dirt don't hurt. I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Okay.
How you doing?
Cliche guy here. Thank you, Derek, for showing up.
That's what I do.
Derek Somerville, he's my co-host today. He's a man who thinks Sith Lords go shopping at the mall where everything is half off.
It's so bad. That one hurts to listen. Hold on, my ears are hurting. Hold on.
That's a double. It's a double on that one.
I took out both earphones.
I got half off and mall is the pun on that one. Come on.
How do you live with yourself with these? How do you live with yourself? I don't even.
Okay. So Derek, we got a lot. I mean, we're kind of covering a lot of ground with this episode. So we have LLoyd Vogel on. He's the one of the owners of a company called Garage Grown Gear, which I think a lot of folks out there have shopped at, or if they haven't, they're going to, because that's where you can kind of find a lot of innovative gear, cutting edge stuff that you're not going to always find at your local outdoor store.
Correct.
So he's going to hit some cultural trends. He's going to hit some backpacking trends. He's going to hit some of the, the top gear sales. I run some nonsense by him. I don't know. I'm excited about this. Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
You ran some nonsense. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what we do, right?
That's your shtick, and I respect it.
So you don't have any nonsense that you?
No.
Okay.
No, everything's legit out of my mouth.
Yeah. People believe that. They do.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's talk about cultural trends, just trends in general. Are you are there any currently going on that you think are particularly good or bad? Like, are you plugged in? You paying attention? You like some, you hate some. What you got going on here?
With good, not really with the gear. No, is that what we're talking about?
No, just cultural, not
general?
backpacking. Yeah, in general.
I mean, I think I'm mostly plugged in trend. I don't even know if it's a trend. I think I'm trying to lean in more towards the, fitness eating diet, like what to eat's good. But I mean, there's so many trends. I've tried the vegan, tried the vegetarian, tried the keto, tried the, you kind of,
you're not sick of any of those.
No, they're kind of, I mean, they're all kind of doing the same thing, and you're trying to, minimize your calories and eat your protein and work and all that stuff. Same thing, but that's probably the only really trends I'm really going for. I mean,
all right. That's not what I was thinking, but I would imagine in California that, that's all big stuff.
It's huge. Yeah. What about you? What do you like?
I pay attention to culture trends in terms of like styles that I think are ridiculous. So for example,
a jacket right there? What are you talking about? Like fashion? What are you talking about? The neon. What brand is that? What is that?
Brand new. We're gonna review this at the end of this episode. Jack.
Who is it? Jack. Ooh.
Yeah. So review. No, I'm not talking about like clothing, although I guess it could encompass that. I'll give you an example. So 15 years ago, there was a trend which lasted for a while where people wore sunglasses that were as big as their face. You remember that?
Yes. Yes.
And I was telling my wife at the time, I'm like, look, I get that these are really popular now. Everybody's wearing them. But in a while, we're going to look back and think those look so stinking ridiculous. And I don't know if we're there yet, but I look back and I'm like, give me a break. Like, you don't need to have sunglasses covering up your forehead. Like, relax.
So funny. That's so
funny.
So
I think that current trend we have going on right now is the mustache.
All right.
A lot of guys.
I think in your neck of the woods, for sure. And then I thought to myself, nobody in California is doing that. And then I saw it.
Yeah.
My nephew, who's about 20-ish, one of his good buddies, shows up with this full-on stash. I'm like,
yeah, it's popular.
They're trying to bring it back.
Yeah. I'm not a fan. I get that I'm bucking the trend here, but too bad.
You don't want to shave the beard part and just go stash? You don't want to do that?
No, I don't think it looks good on most people. And so if you are sporting a mustache out there, if you're a fellow adventurer with a mustache, we value you. We love you. We probably don't love your mustache.
Carl does.
Okay.
I will say, I told the kid right away, I was like, you know what? Mustaches don't work for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But he had a good face. He had a good face. My dad had a mustache and he had a good face for it.
It does work for some people, but when
the
trend is going on, there's just definitely some rough patches, so to speak, with that.
So true. I feel like you're still in that. Aren't you still in that phase? I see this. I've seen this 4 or 5 times this month. Crocs with the socks, and I know aren't you big on that still? Aren't you still doing Crocs with socks?
I don't typically wear Crocs outside. I actually was like prescribed Crocs when I had a lot of foot pain that I had to wear around the house, but I typically don't bring them outside. So no.
Do you wear
and
socks?
Definitely not on backpacking trips. Sorry, folks.
Do you wear socks in the house with them?
Not usually.
Not usually.
But what does it matter if you're in the house?
It should be never.
You can have a mustache in the house.
I don't know. It's a fashion faux pas. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. So now we're talking here. We'll get to some of these backpacking trends, which I think we're gonna have some strong reactions to as well. I have to give a disclaimer here because so Derek didn't make this interview, and it was Lloyd and I, and we had a great conversation. We dug in, and I was asking him about the Garage Grown Gear backstory, and then in the midst of talking to him, I'm like, this sounds like he's a sponsor of ours and that we're just advertising for Garage Grown Gear, and we're not. He did not pay to come on our show. They're not sponsoring us. I simply really liked their company and wanted to find out more, and was very interested in what he was seeing in terms of like backpacking trends and, some of the gear that was selling, what was hot, what wasn't hot, that kind of thing. And so just wanted to throw that out there. Okay.
Do you want me to be? I'll be that guy because I wasn't there. Like, Lloyd, do you want to sponsor the B&B? Like, we'll sponsor.
How are you going to ask him that? You weren't there. How are you going to do it?
But he's going to listen to this, and I'll say, Lloyd, look, you want somebody of quality to promote your products, and here we are.
Okay, so you think he's going to, that's a good question. I don't know how many people actually go back and listen once they've been on our show. I don't think everybody does.
Maybe none.
Okay, so you want to ask right now? Go aahead. So what's your pitch? You're the salesperson, Lloyd. Derek.
Oh, don't give me that whole shtick. I'm just going to say be direct with him. Lloyd, look, we can guarantee stuff all day long, but we got products that are quality. It's called Me and Carl, and we've delivered it for 5+ years now. And we would love to, have you sponsor this podcast. What do you say? Quality.
What do you say?
And quality. So I don't know. He's going to say yes. Of course.
I'm not going to tell him that you said that. And then if he reacts to that afterwards, then we'll know that he went back and listened or watched on YouTube. We'll find out, but that's pretty funny. All right. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not the guy that's like, so here's what we can do for you.
It's tough. Sales are tough. I'm
not that guy. I just think, you know what? Like, we can do a lot for you, but me sweet talking to you is shouldn't be what convinces you. The proof should be in the pudding, as they say, right?
In the pudding.
All right. Before we get to that, though, we got a Bible verse is Proverbs 22:16. Whoever oppresses the poor to increase his own wealth or gives to the rich will only come to poverty. Are you a big oppressor of the poor?
Wow. How could you even ask me that?
Well, because I have an example.
Where I oppress the poor?
Yeah, on a backpacking trip.
That's leave it to Carl, everybody. Leave it to Carl. Find that one chink in the armor.
You can share the story. I'll just tell you, I'll just give you the title of the story.
That's backpacking and blisters podcast.com if you want to comment or critique, Carl.
Without further ado, we've got Lloyd Vogel from Garage Grown Gear. Here we go. Let's do it. Okay, I'm here with Lloyd Vogel from Garage Grown Gear. How's it going, man?
It's going well, Carl. How are you today?
I'm excellent. Thanks for joining the show. Really appreciate it. So I don't know if you know, but I'm already a customer of Garage Grown Gear. And so that's kind of how it kind of came on my radar, and or how you came on my radar to have on the show. And so I just really appreciate what you do with helping out some of the up and coming companies and the cottage brand industry. So yeah, I just really appreciate you, man.
Well, that is a reciprocated appreciation. Well, thanks for being a customer and for supporting small brands and for believing in the things that we do. It means a lot.
Absolutely. So yes, I want to have you on. I got to have some of your ideas on some of the kind of up and coming things, trends, all that stuff. But just as kind of a get to know you, in my life, like Lloyds have not been a big part of my life. So this is probably not a very original question to you, but have you ever considered changing your last name to Christmas?
I haven't.
Okay.
Maybe seasonally I should, but I haven't entertained that as a full possibility. But now I am for the first time live on this podcast.
Okay.
So that is a thing.
Based on your reaction, I'm guessing you don't know what I'm talking about.
Lloyd Christmas is a character from a movie, right?
Dumb and Dumber, correct?
Dumb and Dumber, yeah.
Dumb and Dumber. Okay, so like, I guess my question is like if I gave you like a lifetime supply of deodorant, would you consider it?
Is that a Dumb and Dumber reference?
No, I'm just being silly.
Oh.
You never know what, you never know how much people need deodorant. So
that's enticing. I think I would still pass, but I would at least consider it for longer than I just did.
Okay. At least in my friendship group, I'm sure on our fellow adventurers that are listening in, like they get the Lloyd Christmas reference, and I just think that would be awesome. So anyway, your name popped up. I was like, that's what I thought. It was Lloyd Christmas. So I don't know. You must not get that. Do you not get that a lot? Is that not okay?
But I mean, I do feel like there is something, probably not a lifetime supply of deodorant, that would make me like really consider it.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe we'll discover that throughout this conversation. And I should divulge this information to begin with, that my first name is not really Lloyd. I'm an imposter Lloyd. Lloyd is my middle name, and my first name is actually Evan. The notion of changing my name to Lloyd Christmas would just feel like a further evolution of my name journey already.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Appreciate that. So imposter Lloyd, I like that. But yeah, if something does pop up in the conversation where you're like, I could use some of that, just let me know, because I got you.
Deal.
I got you.
I appreciate that.
All right. Okay. So you have you yourself, like you're part of a outdoor backpacking gear company, but you yourself are an avid outdoorsman. You've got a backpacking story or an outdoor story. Is that correct?
Yeah. I do.
Okay,
it's pretty wonderful to be, and I think not everyone is fortunate to have this, but to work in an industry that is both like a passion of yours personally and professionally, which is pretty cool. I mean, it just makes it that much more fun and exciting. And like the community is a genuine community, and I really appreciate that, both as like an enthusiast and someone who exists within the industry.
Right.
But yeah, I got my intro to the outdoor space through paddle sports. I grew up in Milwaukee, right on Lake Michigan, and started kind of getting introduced to outdoor spaces through kayaking on Lake Michigan. And just kind of like having no idea really what I was doing in terms of paddling, but just like really loving the connection to water. And that kind of quickly led to going to some YMCA camps as a kid and doing trips in the Boundary Waters and up in the Quetico, and kind of in the Superior Forest up in northern Wisconsin. And kind of just like, I don't know, having fun outside. I didn't really think too much of it. I think like when you're in high school, you've got so many things processing in your brain, and like so many different activities that you're like kind of tangentially a part of, that I didn't really, know if the outdoors was going to be my thing, or if it was going to be, music or writing or politics. I had no idea. I was, just kind of dabbling.
Those are a lot of different categories right there.
Those are a lot of different
It could be outdoors or music or politics.
So different. Or all of them, who knows?
Right.
But I think I started working at a Y camp during my first summer out of right after high school, and I like worked at this camp for a long time, and led a lot of trips. Both kind of here in the Midwest, and then a number up in Canada and up in different parts of Alaska. And I kind of just like really built this enthusiasm, not just for experiencing the outdoors and in, backcountry and wilderness contexts, but to be able to share that with others, like to be able to take a group of 6, 17 and 18-year-olds up to the Brooks Range of Alaska for 6 weeks.
Oh yeah,
it's an incredible experience, and to both have that be formative for oneself and formative for the ones that you're leading. I think the power of the outdoors is just such a powerful thing, and such a deep rooted connection that it's something that as I spend a lot more time behind a keyboard and behind a computer screen. It's one of the things in one's life that consistently kind of calls to you and beckons to you, and it's not something that kind of just leaves my brain.
Right.
So it feels like it's been a journey. Like I haven't had the ability to be able to probably like yourself, like get out as much as one would like, but to really cherish the opportunities that one does have to experience different places and different environments.
Yeah, for sure. And so it's funny you say that. I just imagine like being kind of running the show is very demanding on your time, and But I would guess, though, no matter how much you get out, you probably still get out more than my co-host, who struggles to get out onto a backpacking trip a year. So I'll ask him about that. But you mentioned going to the Brooks Ranch. So you're a trip planner, you're a trip leader, and you took teenagers to Alaska. Did you like literally take them from your local area? Like, we're all going to go together, we're all getting on a plane, and we're flying to Alaska. Is that part of the story?
It was all through this particular Y camp
Okay.
In northern Wisconsin, and they kind of curate the trips, do a lot of the, like, I work with them to do the trip prep and all the, you know, food for 8 people for 6 weeks is like a lot of packaging boxes and shipping them to random post offices.
Yeah,
and like
that's
coordinating like
with food allergies and all that stuff, especially, like that's a lot to do,
yes,
right? Oh my
it is
gosh.
a lot.
Yeah.
And like, you know, it's one of those things that when you're in you know, you get dropped off somewhere and you're like, all right, well, I think things are should be good.
Right.
You know, I'm probably missing a half dozen things that are mildly important, but yeah, that's kind of part of the fun and joy of it too.
Overcoming the challenges for sure. That's so
right.
funny. All right.
Yeah.
Well, good deal. Yeah, Alaska's on my list to go, and we haven't quite made it happen yet. So kudos to you for already heading up there. That's a big endeavor for sure. So all right, and so you kind of switching over to the business side now. You are okay. Like, it literally says on your website that you are the mastermind of garage grown gear. Is that a word you throw around a lot?
I don't throw it around a lot, but I guess it is inherently true.
Okay.
I did not have the initial idea, but I think been the one largely responsible for kind of shaping and molding into what it is now.
Okay.
The initial, my business partner Amy Hatch lives out in Idaho. And she had the initial idea for creating a platform that supported small outdoor brands.
Okay.
And kind of in that iteration, it was a little bit more general. You know, it had some climbing gear, some yoga gear, some stuff that was a little bit more lifestyle, kind of mixed with outdoor culture. And it had some sole focus of the platform.
Okay.
And so, about 6 years ago, we moved things out from Idaho to Minnesota, where I am. I had another I had started up, and it merged with Garage Grown Gear. So in that process, I moved all of our inventory from Idaho to Minnesota in my Honda Fit, which is not a big car.
Right.
And it still had room for me to sleep in the back.
Okay.
So it was small at that point. And kind of moved it here, kind of took up roots here in the Twin Cities area, and really just like laser focused in on the areas that I'm particularly passionate about, which is the backpacking space, and in particular the ultralight space.
Okay.
So yeah, it's kind of been the journey, and it's still, constantly evolving and changing, but we still refer to each other as co-founders, because it's kind of two uniquely different kind of timelines for the company, but one obviously would not exist without the other.
Right. You can still call yourself the mastermind. Let's be honest. You can have somebody come in, hey, I want to sell my stuff at Garage Grown Gear, and then they introduce yourself, and you're like, hi, I'm Lloyd, the mastermind.
The mastermind. That is what it says on my business card, so I should just really embrace it.
Is it really on your business card?
No.
Okay.
It should be, though.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Yeah, might be you might intimidate them, and maybe they'll negotiate a better price for you. So
maybe. Yeah.
That's so funny. Okay, so you have a physical store in Minnesota. You have mainly an online side, I would guess, is where you do a lot of your business as well, where people can buy an assortment of gear related to the outdoors. And then also on your site, you have a magazine. Like I imagine it's just an online version of the magazine. What's the story behind that?
Yeah. Well, I think it was like, there's nothing inherently wrong with selling products. I think selling products is an important part of like making sure that people are equipped with the right stuff to be able to go outside.
Right.
That is like fundamental, elemental in terms of what we do. Garage Grown Gear does not exist without selling stuff.
Correct.
But I think kind of what infuses gear with meaning is the stories behind them.
Okay.
It's that, like, I think as people who spend time outside, we're constantly searching for meaningful relationships with people, places, things. And I think gear is just another opportunity to forge deeper meaning with something that we spend a lot of time on, that we like literally depend on with our lives at times.
Right.
And that there is a very personal relationship that one has with one's gear. So I think that our online magazine is our way to be able to make gear more meaningful. A lot of the stories that we tell are focused around telling the stories of brands, which is telling the stories of people and their ambitions, why their gear is unique, why they created what they've created, what stories and experiences have they had in their lives that they've infused into the products that they make, and why should our audience care about that?
Okay.
And I think that like for us takes it really full circle of it's not just about like mass consumption. It's about consuming intentionally and making sure that the thing that you're getting is the thing that you want and the thing that'll work for you. Because we largely sell ultralight backpacking gear, which is like great for some people and it's not great for others. And if it's not great for you, you shouldn't buy it. And that doesn't mean that you have like a lower gear IQ. It doesn't mean that you're experiencing the outdoors any better than anyone else. It just means that like how you are looking to navigate wilderness spaces is just not with the same pack that someone else has. And that's all good. So I think it's like trying to define ways, to infuse gear with meaning, to be able to make sure that if it's a gear review, a general interest piece, that there's something more substantive than just here's this thing, you should buy it because it's cool.
Right.
Which I think a lot of consumerism is, where it's just like, here's this hot trendy thing and you should just get it because it's there and because other people say it's cool.
Yeah.
So
putting meaning behind it and intention behind it as well. I'm curious about, the results of the magazine, because I mean, we're living in a digital age. And so like the hard copy magazine, like that's kind of it's trending downward in terms of like subscription numbers and this and that. But you're going, purely digital. Are you getting a lot of hits with the pieces you're putting out there?
We do. I think largely because so our email newsletter is kind of our biggest way of connecting with our community, and that is a fairly sizable community for us that we're kind of always putting 3 or 4 pieces of content in front of each week. So it kind of gets that initial push, and then also like a lot of our branches don't have any content that's on them. So when we have little brands and someone's there might not be a lot of people trying to figure out who these people are, but when they do, we have the article about them. So,
I see. So when people are researching, that's what's going to pop up on like the search results.
Exactly right.
Gotcha.
So, we're not like, and we have some lists when people are searching for like top 5, backpacking travels, like, we'll pop up for some of that stuff too. But like, if you try to search like, the story behind like Space Bear bags, like, no one else has written that article. Like just we have written that artiticle. And then you get to, hear a cool story about Chris and how he got started. So I think like there's like a lot of different, like it definitely kind of feeds itself because our product pages have our articles on them. So if you're like going to buy a product from Waymark packs, like you can see the startup story that we wrote on them with some of their gear reviews down there too. So, and and the content itself links back to the products. So we try to have it just kind of be this ecosystem that kind of self-supports itself.
I see. Okay. So how does one such as myself get an article published on your magazine?
That's a great question. I don't do it. So in terms of masterminding, I do absolutely nothing with our online magazine. That is entirely business partner Amy, who that was kind of her like initial inception. That was her idea, kind of her. It started off kind of as like a more of a personal blog that she was writing, and then just kind of merged into now where she very rarely writes articles. It's pretty much all like contributed content from a variety of different writers, and we're pretty open to stuff. I think like it's a there's just so much content.
I don't want to brag, but I was published in Backpacker magazine. Not that anybody's reading that anymore.
I had a subscription up until last year, and it expired, and then I forgot to renew it. So
that's so funny.
Shame on me.
No, I don't know. I don't want to. I think I've bashed Backpacker Magazine. Like they were very influential in my early backpacking career years ago. I think the articles they put out, like they literally, like some of the articles literally changed my life, and they had some ideas that I hadn't considered. And then they went very commercial with just everything being just basically a big, a commercial essentially. And so
that is a big, that's a big thing for us, is like, we're not a pay to play platform. So
right. It's a different,
get paid to create content. Like the reviews that we write are not sponsored or paid.
Right.
Brands don't come to us and say, hey, will you write an article on us and we'll pay you X number. We don't do that. Right. Which is surprisingly frequent in the outdoor industry of like a large number of media sources, rely on payment for the content that they're creating, for the gear that they're reviewing, for the stories they're telling, which
right.
I don't know. I mean, like, you're creating content, it is worth something to people. And so there is, and it's not like businesses aren't making money off of that exposure. Like they want to pay for those ad placements, but it's just a direction that we've chosen not to go in, largely because we're advertising brands that we sell. So like, we don't have to sell spots to our brands. Like we already sell their products. Like if we're telling the story, they can just buy the stuff at our site. That's
okay. I mean, that's just a sign of integrity right there. And it's, it happens all over the place. Like people are just looking for those avenues in where there's, where hits or downloads are to be had. They want to be a part, they want a piece of the action. But it's a very slippery slope where you let somebody in and there's the floodgates with who knows, where you're losing the quality of the content in the first place. Like our show, we had to start making tough decisions because we had a really big sponsor that wanted to come on board just a couple months ago. And I tried out their product. It was like a nutritional product. And I was like, this doesn't like do anything. Sure. And I was like, so we had to turn down some, basically some sponsorship dollars because we had to keep our integrity. And it wasn't tough to keep our integrity, of course, but it's just, you have to, you got to keep that gate tight, I guess. And so it sounds like you got that in place, which is great. So
I think it is a tough thing. I mean, and we do some paid spots and we do sponsorships, but it's like, I think at that point, like, I don't think it's bad to pay for exposure. It's just like the level of genuineness that one does behind it. Like, is this a relationship or is this a spot? Is this someone who is like we don't sell gear that we haven't tried and tested. Like,
oh, really? Okay.
Like everything, like we get, like, when we take on a new brand, I don't ask for every single product that the person carries, but I do ask for a sampling that can give us a proof of just like craftsmanship on products. Like, I don't need to see what a Dyneema pouch looks like from every single company. Like, if you send me the pack and it's and if they're selling me us a pack, like I can tell if it's well made. I can tell if the design is there. Like I know, like what the fabric feels like and performs like, and what the zipper is going to do. And we have parted ways with brands where like product quality over time like hasn't been kind of what we want it to be. But yeah, it's I don't mean to be negative on sponsorships, because I'm not at all. It's the it's the lack of substance behind it. Like if someone's going to say good things about Garage Grown gear in the space, like, and that is beneficial to Garage Grown, I want to compensate them for doing that. I just want them to actually like know it, believe it, like be a customer, like actually support the brands that we support. And if they're going to, say really good things about us on our channel, and it does good things for us, and their community cares and they care, and it could be a win-win-win with us, the sponsor, and the community, then like, great, everyone should be making some type of money in that situation, because, all of these are businesses. As much as, we're all about supporting small brands. We're about supporting small brands so they can make money to, pay their mortgages and send their kids to school, and so that we can do the same.
Yeah. And hey, I think that's great that you test out the gear ahead of time too. I know, like you said, you can't test out everything, but just knowing that it's going to be quality and dropping companies. Yeah. Like I really want to know what the companies those are, but I know that that's not really appropriate for me to ask. But I want to know what company. I mean, we've seen companies, I'm trying to think of outdoor companies. I've seen companies over the years, more like shoe companies, where they put out a product and it's like really high quality and they keep that line of shoe going, and each year it gets worse and worse and worse. I've seen that happen. In the outdoor space more, the issue I see more is companies that like put out a good product, and that's like, like 1.0 version.
Mm-hmm.
And then 10 years later, they're on 1.0 version. They haven't really changed it. And so to me, I'm confused by that because, I mean, there's so many idea people and innovation options. And there's just, like, you know, with all the access we have to with manufacturing and whatever, just it seems like, you know, possibilities are endless. And so I'm like, you're 10 years in, you got 1.0 still. Like, what's going on here?
Right.
So
like there hasn't been any feedback that you could take or change about your product in the last 10 years.
Yeah. And then you'll have competing
companies out of the gate.
Right. Like competing companies will come up with like better versions of that or different ideas of that. And then they're like, no, we're staying put. So
no,
go ahead.
I think that is a really funny thing. And you know, we get approached from brands like, I almost wish I had it here, but I got sent a spork prototype the other day that was just like on a 3D printer it is purely a concept.
Okay.
And we get sent stuff, you know, months, years before they'd be able to hit the market, just as like, do you think this is a good idea? And at times I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I'd use it, like, but I think someone probably would. Like, it's fine. Or like, yeah, that's a great concept, but it might not be like I won't name names, but I recently got sent a sample that I was like, ooh, this is a really good idea. I don't think that the execution on it is perfect, but honestly, like, we're going to sell the product with those disclaimers because it's not that it's a bad product. It's just not perfect. But that's not always what it's about. Like, it's better than anything else that's on the market because there is nothing else on the market that kind of does this very niche particular thing. But it's like, you know, there's a use case for it. And some people will enjoy that use case, and it'll probably get returned by a number of people who don't like it. And
which is not what honestly, you
want. It's not what we want, but you know, the concept behind it is at least sound. Like, we're not selling anything that we don't think is good. It's just in some instances, we were selling things that are not the fully actualized version of itself, or it has a very specific use case. And we just try to be as upfront and transparent about like, hey, if you're looking for this thing to be like, you know, this, it's not. Like, it's here, and it was designed to be here. Okay.
That's okay. So what you just did right there is you just opened up the doors for a conversation I was planning to have here in a little bit, but we're just gonna have it right now. So you sound like you're gonna be honest and upfront. You get a lot of ideas thrown at you, and our show over the years has come up with a number of innovative, entrepreneurial backpacking ideas. We don't have prototypes, but I'm going to throw two at you. And so you don't have to, like, you know, break it down or analyze it beyond like which one is more likely to sell on your site.
Great.
That's all I'm asking for. Okay.
Okay. Deal.
All right. This. And I've run this by a couple of people. So the most popular one that we've shared is solving the problem of you're in your tent. It's 5 a.m. You want to keep sleeping, but you got to go pee. All right. And so you don't want to get out of the tent. It's cold. It's going to wake you up. Maybe you can't go back to sleep afterwards. And so you got to have some sort of a device where you can stay in your tent and go pee without keeping the pee in your tent. And that, my friend, is called the tent catheter. Some sort of like maybe gravity fed hose that can start in your tent and it can go outside your tent and drain elsewhere, so to speak.
I'm not even sure I need to hear the second option.
Oh, okay. That's already selling you. That's good to know. I ran this by the company Go Girl. Are you familiar with them?
Yeah.
Okay. They were at the Outdoor Retailer show. Oh man, I think it was a year ago, like the winter show a year ago. And yeah, they liked the idea, but I don't think they used it. So I said, hey, it's a free idea. Okay. So that's option A. Okay. Option B, you are an ultralighter, so you're not bringing like camp shoes or river crossing shoes or anything, but you're on a trail where there are significant river crossings, maybe shin deep, maybe even waist deep, maybe not waist deep, maybe shin deep, we'll say. And so you want to cross, and it's rocky, so you don't want to go barefoot, but you don't want to get your shoes wet. You got your trekking poles. There's a little attachment on the trekking pole where you can make what's called a trekking pole stilt. You can stand on a very small platform and work your way across the river, keeping your shoes dry. And let's be honest, having a little fun along the way. So what do you say to that?
Carl, I'm not going to lie to you. Those are two of the better ideas I've heard in a long time.
No, they're not. Come on.
They're two of the more creative concepts that I've heard in a long time.
Okay.
Those are great. I love both of them. I mean, to be honest, like, I bet you we would sell some camp catheters or tent catheters or whatever you wanted to call it.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that there would be enough people that would be curious about it. Like, yeah, I mean, the number of bidets that we sell, like our bidets are like one of our best selling products.
Are you serious?
And yeah, like I don't know how many like thousands and thousands of portable bidets we sold this past year, but it's like it's definitely a top 10 product for us.
Wow.
And I'm not saying that a catheter, a tent catheter would be a top 10 product, but we would sell more than 100 of those throughout the course of the year.
Okay. Let's just keep talking theoretical now. So if you knew that you were going to sell more than 100 of a product, is that even worth your time to carry that product on your website?
Maybe. I mean, think about the content that one could create around this.
That's true. Like I don't know. It's like when Oakley, I don't know if they still do this, but I remember when I was working at REI back in the day, Oakley would make these crazy looking sunglasses, like ones where they didn't go around your ear, they went over your head, and nobody's buying them. They're simply drawing your attention to the brand. And then you're like, okay, I'm not going to buy those, but hey, those are cool. And they end up kind of buying like a lower so it could be one of those types of things, right?
It's like the, have you seen Gossamer Gear has this, it's called.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Oh, what was it? It was
pot.
Yeah.
I think is it where you can like rehydrate food by just like putting it down your pants and letting it rehydrate.
Right.
And I think that initially like started as like a very hardcore ultralight product and then turned into a gag. And it's like,
it didn't start as a gag. It started as a legit product.
I think for someone it was a legit product.
Okay.
And maybe you'll get a bunch of messages saying, "I love that product. How dare you make fun of it?"
Right.
But I think it has landed somewhere in between a gag and something that like has some ability to like work better than it rehydrating like just in your backpack.
Right.
But I can't imagine that it has like that it is the most effective way of rehydrating food, but it's I would imagine it's better than alternatives.
Yeah, it's supposed to be efficient and fun, sort of.
Yeah, like April Fool's content around that would be great.
Oh my gosh.
The stilts idea also, speaking of a product that is kind of on this edge of kind of like use cases. We sell these sandals made from a company called Mayfly Sandals, which it is essentially just a platform with about as minimalist stringage as possible to allow you to have a platform that when you're in your tent, you need to go get water or walk around briefly, that you just have something that is not your bare feet to be able to walk around. And I love these things. Like, do you know how much they weigh offhand? Like, are they a few ounces kind of thing? Less. Like they are. I don't know, but I'd be shocked if they were probably between 1 and 2 ounces for a pair.
Ooh.
Like they're real light. I mean, they're things that like you could theoretically make yourself if you wanted to, but it's not an area of strength for me. And I bring these with me, and it has a great use case. But for others, it's I just want that pair of shoes. But maybe this is a competitor in the market of, if you don't want to carry camp shoes, a little stilts attachment, definitely would have to feel real confident about the integrity of your poles. But it does, like the fun box is checked way more than most products I get pitched. Okay, fair enough. And we get and by the way, these ideas endless. We have endless ideas from a few episodes that we have backlog. So next time you come on, we'll definitely just pitch you a few more. But great. You got me curious about the sandals though. Are those? I mean, if they're so lightweight, are those like a solution to crossing streams, you think? I wouldn't think so. They just like really. So they're made out of the same material that like campaign posters are made out of. That kind of like like tubular plastic. I don't know what the exact name of it is, but like they definitely move around on your feet a bit, and when they get wet, they get a little bit more useless. Okay. But for like letting your feet air out and have something, that's going to protect your feet from getting poked by a stick, they're great. Okay. But that's limited use case. No, but I'm going to check them out actually after we're done. Because we talk about, kind of the camp shoes, or that idea being one of the easiest things to lighten your load is not bringing that. But if you can bring some of these like luxury items and you're spending an ounce or two, like, goodness gracious, and why wouldn't you, basically? So I mean, that for me is like when people are saying, well, these are so much less comfortable than bring in a pair of Crocs or
Right.
of Chacos, and you're like, well, yeah, but these are not the same things.
No,
Like,
no.
what I'm trying to do with this piece of gear is not hike in it. It's not to like be super luxurious in it, or spend a lot of time exploring around where my campsite is. It has a very specific mission, and like that is what I need them for.
Right.
And other things would just be overkill.
Right. Yeah, 100%. So okay, you got me you got me intrigued. I'm definitely gonna check that out. And this kind of ties in with the next topic that kind of the heart of this conversation I was shooting for is, I feel like of anybody that I've met or know, you're probably going to be the one of the most people that's plugged into backpacking trends in terms of like new things that are happening in the industry, or new pieces of gear that are selling a lot, or even the opposite of that, right? Where things that maybe were popular for a while that are dropping off the radar. So are you the right person to ask about this?
Yeah, I can give opinions on things.
Okay, so I think I gave you the clue. Like, I'm looking for like if you could narrow it, or if you have more, great. But do you have like 3 trends you're seeing kind of in the last year, or kind of moving forward into this year? What you got going on?
I mean, I think the first is just a real trend towards ultralight backpacking in general. I think like you're seeing. I think ultralight backpacking and cottage brands used to be really on the fringe of the dialogue of what backpacking and hiking was, and
Right.
I think it's now a very active part of what it is. I mean, this past year you saw Hyperlight go into REI. You saw Z-Packs go into public lands, the Dick's Sporting Goods, offshoot. You're seeing cottage brands and ultralight companies make inroads within, mass outdoor markets. And I think that is showing like a gravitation towards lighter, towards quilts, towards frameless packs, towards new and interesting fabrics, towards single wall tents. Like this idea that like, whoa, there's actually like real convenience to bring in lighter stuff. Like it's easier on your body. It's like I like it purely because of it reduces the amount of decisions I have to make during the course of a day. Like I don't have to think about what pair of socks I'm going to wear today. I have one pair of socks and they're already on my feet.
Right.
Problem solved. I think that's kind of just a general momentum that like Garage Grown has been fortunate to both be a part of and kind of be able to foster a community space for that as well. And yeah, I mean, it's mind boggling to walk into some bigger outdoor stores and be like, whoa, they're selling that? Cool.
Yeah.
Like, neat. Like,
okay, so I got a question on that one, because I have a theory about it, and I don't know if you would be able to recognize whether my theory is accurate, leaning towards accurate, or just bogus. But because I see the same thing. I see that there's definitely a move towards people purchasing the ultralight gear. And so they have like their big 4 items. A lot of people, they're spending the cash to make sure that those are very ultralight. But on the same trip, they're also increasing the number of luxury items they're bringing. So when you end up, you talk about like your core gear, like, oh my goodness, it's super ultralight, it's super expensive. But then because they're bringing so many luxury items, they're bringing the chair, they're bringing the Crocs, whatever. Yeah. Now, like their final weight, their final pack weight still ends up being, similar to what a backpacker might have like 3-5 years ago. All right. Yeah. Is that accurate or not?
Yeah. I'll preface this by saying that I think like everyone's journey with their gear and whatever weight that they carry is like totally great for what they're trying to do. Like ultimately the goal is for them to be happy in the outdoors. And that is 100% what the goal of buying gear is.
Okay.
That said, I do find it a bit confusing when you have folks that are shaving off their toothbrush, but then bringing, a hard copy book, and
right.
you're shaving. And I think it's always a trade-off. Like you shave weight in some areas so that you can prioritize weight in areas that you do care about.
Right.
But I think, yeah, like you're seeing, you see it on Facebook forums all the time where people will ask, like, will this ultralight frameless pack be able to carry 45 pounds?
Right, no. Right.
Like
no,
it will not. It was not designed to.
Right.
Like that wasn't the point. And like, there's a lot of conversations around like, well, your pack should really be the last thing that you buy, because it's the things that go into it that determine what leader you need. If you need a framed pack, a frameless pack, if you need a hip belt, like all of those component decisions should be made based on what in fact you're going to bring.
Right.
And I think that everyone's ultralight journey is a little bit different. And I think as ultralight has also become a more prevalent thing, you have people that are really enticed by it and then quickly realize like, actually, that's not what I want to do. Like it sounded sleek and it seemed kind of cool and like you're part of this little elite gear club. But actually when they're, you know, hiking for a week with a 7-pound base weight, they're like, wow, this, I don't like this.
Right. Exactly.
Like I don't enjoy this. And then so they start, you know, creeping that base weight back up a bit
introducing
to be
new
able to
things
accommodate
in.
for it.
Yeah.
And I think like that's a natural part of the journey to be able to kind of calibrate to where you really want to be. And I think some people go totally towards, you know, that sub 10 pound, sub 8-pound base weight and are like, this is exactly where I want to be. There's folks that get there and realize that's totally not for them. And most people find themselves somewhere in between or somewhere dependent on what trip they're going with. Like if I'm going with friends, I'm doing it differently than if I'm doing a solo trip by myself. If I'm doing a solo trip by myself, like I'm hiking all day, and when I am stopping, I'm sleeping, and I don't bring anything because there's no time for that.
Right, because like, you're
like
getting
I don't need
after
other
it.
stuff.
Yeah,
And that's how I like to be able to do that. So I think you are right that I think it is a journey. It is like a and I think part of ultralight is also like being willing to laugh at oneself and the absurdity of what one's doing. Like the fact that one cares about like an ounce here or an ounce there is like objectively kind of ridiculous.
And it's not, but it's not just caring about it, right? Sometimes you'll spend, you know, over $100 to shave that ounce or two.
Oh yeah,
right?
For
and
sure.
So that's how much they care about it. So yeah, that is ridiculous for sure. 100%.
Yeah. And then I think that kind of error of self-deprecation helps it from turning into something that's elitist and exclusionary into something that's like fun, quirky, you know, welcomes conversation instead of something that just says, oh, well, if you don't have this or if you don't do this, you're not doing it right. And that's an element of ultralight that I can't stand personally.
For sure. In fact, we have an episode coming up in the next month or two where we're with my co-host. We're gonna, I mean, it's basically like, how much weight can you shave with $100 these days? And so we're gonna take a challenge to see.
That's cool.
Yeah, like a typical or like maybe an entry-level backpacker who maybe shopped at, you know, Walmart or Costco to get some of their core items, like, you know, with $100, like what can we do to kind of shave some weight, and how much weight are we actually going to shave? And I mean, hypothesis, it's not going to be as much as you think, right? Because $100 doesn't go as much as you know, as far as it used to. So we'll find out. All right. So so that's your first one. First trend was
my first one.
Yeah, trending towards ultralight. All right, number 2.
I think like we're not necessarily seeing a ton of advancements within gear itself, but I think one of the areas that is being advanced a lot is within fabrics. And I think that kind of is, you know, there's only so many packs that one can make, or so many different tweaks on a tent that can be made. You know, there are a lot of really smart people that have tried to design new and innovative packs and new and innovative tents and new and innovative quilts. And those can all have slight adjustments and tweaks, but I don't think we're going to suddenly see some new design from a quilt that is going to revolutionize a blanket. I just don't think it's going to happen. And so like, and you know, like thinking about quilts in particular, like geese are not going to start producing, you know, fill power that is like out of this world better than what we have now. It's just like, barring some like, I mean, I don't even think, I don't know. I don't know enough about how that would even work to start hypothesizing, but even like 1,000 fill down, like isn't like really a thing. Like it's you know, it's a bit of a myth, and there are companies that advertise having 1,000 fill down, but I'm about 100% positive that if you were to test that, it would grade out probably more towards a 950, 960, which is not the same. And so like, I just, and it's not, I don't mean that to be pessimistic in terms of there is no more innovation in the outdoor space, but that a lot of kind of the foundational pieces that we have are designs that work really well. And they have worked really well for a really long time. And that kind of leads it to the advancement to be in the fabrics arena. You know, stuff like Ultra is just such a hot fabric right now that people are interested in, and especially as DCF gets continually more expensive, and really over the last couple of years, just really almost impossible to be able to source in small quantities as small makers. And so and fabrics like Polartec Alpha, I think those are the areas that are going to kind of be the areas that continue to allow kind of this innovation and curiosity, and largely they're fabrics that get tried, tested, and proved in cottage spaces with small brands. Like you don't see REI picking up like 7 denier fabrics left and right, because you know, it requires a little bit of education around how not to have that thing rip after 2 minutes, because it is, and, you know, and they don't want to process that return on that with their level of a warranty. And so I think fabrics is an area that we will continue to see fabrics get lighter, more durable, hopefully more affordable in that process as well. And then just like more new and different things. And I think that's an exciting thing to kind of look forward to in future of gear.
Yeah. And so when you talk about, you know, you can only innovate, you know, with goose feathers so much, and with the, you know, with the bags, sleeping bags and the quilts, I kind of like mentally took that as a challenge. Like, yeah, is there a next level? And I would guess that you'd go, I mean, I'm thinking futuristically now, but I would guess you would go lighter weight with less fill with your sleeping bag or your quilt, because your fabrics or your clothing might have some sort of like heating element to them. And as batteries continue to get smaller, like there'll be some sort of a, you know, tipping point where basically like your clothes just heat themselves without any added weight, or with minimal or negligible added weight. And then we just like heat ourselves to our clothes, and we just have like a light blanket, boom, done. So
no, that's and I think that, so maybe fabrics is an expansion upon that, is just like technological advancements with the space. Because like, I don't know, I've seen quilts where, you know, they're trying to pare down and make it, you know, thinner, lighter fabrics. And you know, when you use lighter fabrics, it becomes more breathable. When it becomes more breathable to a certain point, it gets less warm. And that's a trade-off. And then if you have the quilt be so narrow, you start getting gaps in it. When you roll over and you start decreasing functionality. So it feels like for some of this stuff, there is like a, you know, like ultimately, what is the difference between an enlightened equipment quilt, a UGQ, a catabatic? Like, it is goose feathers within, you know, a 70, 10D, 20D liner, and you know, some iteration of a footbox. And that's not to say that each one of those companies don't have slightly, you know, new and different takes on it, because they do. But and some of them, you know, people like more than others, and, you know, Facebook will show you how strongly people feel about certain brands over others. But you know, largely we're talking about iterations on something that is, you know, kind of proven to work well.
Absolutely. Okay, so that's a good one. I like that one. All right, so improvements in fabrics, and all right, so that's number 2. Number 3, what's the last one you got there?
Well, Carl, this goes back to something that you were talking about, kind of as like people go lighter and lighter, trying to like figure out of like how to still be able to get what they need out of their gear. And I think we've seen that through like a booming of ultralight accessories, from like shoulder pouches to fanny packs to water bottle holders to packs that have, you know, bottom pockets to be able to put things in. Like, I feel like a lot of people's ultralight journey is they trade in their Osprey backpack with the brain and the million pockets, and they go to, you know, some like super pared down minimal pack that has side water bottle holders and like a front pouch. And then they're like, well, where am I supposed to? And then then they add the water bottle pouch, and then they've got the phone pocket on this side, and then they've got a fanny pack. And then, you know,
so what you're saying is like they're getting rid of all their pockets and things on the back and just putting them on the front, basically.
I think we've seen that a lot.
It's like a baby Bjorn, right? You're like, I don't have a backpack anymore. I got everything kind of strapped around me in the front side, so it's accessible.
Got my snacks. No, I think that's real. And, you know, and I think like when you look at packs that have a lot of zippers and a lot of compartments, ultralight packs don't have those. So what do we have instead? We have stuff sacks and dry bags and lots of little things that create organization within our big things.
And that drives me nuts, just so you know.
It does.
Spending like $100 on like bags, like ditty bags they used to call them, or whatever. Like, like I just got a bunch of bags. Like, awesome.
And I'm a total junk packer of like everything goes within my pack liner, and like there's no,
just throw it in there.
Like quilt goes in bottom, you know, clothes relatively you know, around there as well. Like, it's kind of all, if it's in the pack liner, like I feel good about it. And so it's not a bad thing. It's just like, it is finding where that sweet spot is for you. And I think a lot of folks, when they do ping pong from a more traditional pack to an ultralight pack, they don't just like ditch the ultralight pack and go back to what they had before. They try to make that ultralight pack work. And by doing that, that's when adding accessories and adding little kind of like little luxury items into the space kind of comes into place. So yeah, I think resurgence of ultralight accessories would be my third.
Yeah, that's interesting. I did have, I've got some commentary on the fanny pack specifically, but I'll circle back to that one later because I noticed that that was a trend, just not even only on websites, but on trails as well, just seeing kind of people carry those extra things. And we actually had a guy on a trip last year who brought like a bag that kind of like connected across his shoulder straps and was so large, it was almost like a food trough where he could just like, lean his head down and just like eat out of it. And I was like, how many snacks do you need before we stop? Goodness gracious. But that gave him comfort. So it worked for him. Okay. So before you mentioned I forget which one you said, but you said such and such was in our top 10 kind of sellers. So I'm putting you on the spot a little bit here, but off the top of your head, can you give us like a couple examples of like, what's a top 10 seller at Garage Grown Gear?
Well, we sell ultralight accessories super well. That's kind of for like our, we have a fairly low free shipping threshold. And then we also just have a lot of folks who I think it's just a convenience thing of being able to buy a lot of small stuff they need in one place.
Right.
So I'd say some of our top sellers currently, like we sell Nylofume pack liners like crazy. We sell the little portable bidets, a lot of those.
Right. That's what you said.
The Canuck Vectos are always a bestseller for us. Kula cloths are ones that always move really well. Little Rology massage balls, little cork balls.
Oh yeah,
ones that do very well. Anything by Nightcore, both like the NB 10,000s and the NU25 headlamps are ones that sell really well.
Interesting. Any other bathroom related items that are in the top 10?
It's a good question. We do sell these little like tiny towels that expand with water. So that's kind of a bathroom related one. Trowels, we do sell a lot of trowels.
Like you?
The Vogler trowel is one of our best selling products.
Interesting.
And, certainly a lot of like Deuces Spaces too. So
I heard through the back channels, I heard that one of your top sellers was Unpaced. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, Unpaced is definitely one of our best sellers. Yeah.
Okay.
That must have been a Justin Outdoors.
It wasn't. No. We talked about.
Was it not?
We talked about it on the show with Justin, and I actually bought that off your site. That was one of the things I bought. We tried it out last year because we'd heard some things about it, but it was somebody else. I'm not gonna name drop right now, but
fair. He loves those things, and
he does. Well, actually, to be honest, when we talked about it with him on our show last month, it was funny because he also revealed a couple guys that have been on our show, a couple YouTubers that wouldn't use it because they just simply don't brush their teeth in the back country, and so that surprised me too.
That tracks. The whole like YouTuber influencer space is like they're all kind of buddy. It's kind of like a funny thing that they're all. I don't know. They're kind of in like a unique ecosystem in and of themselves.
Right. Yeah. We're not there yet. We're not part of the in crowd there, but that's okay. They're willing to come on our show and we really just appreciate that. So, okay. Let me, so I think we covered. Yeah, we covered that. I think we covered everything that I wanted to get to. I'll cut this part out where I'm processing this. Let's see, you got the trends. We got, how does somebody suggest something? That's right. Okay. All right. So I got one. I'm going to ask you some moment. But we got one last question that we're going to wrap up with about just kind of like anything else you want to share about Garage Grown Gear. Is there anything else before I get to that we missed that you wanted to hit on?
No, this was really a great conversation, Carl. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So I got one more question for you. All right. So anytime we have anybody on, whether it's, YouTube, social media star, or a mastermind like yourself, we always give the last question to share anything you want to share about your company or anything that people should know about it that might interest them. So what you got?
Yeah. Well, I think if you haven't checked out Garage Grown Gear, you should go over to garagegrowngear.com and search through our brand page and see if there's any companies there that you aren't familiar with and see if you find anything that interests you. I think largely we encourage people to use Garage Grown Gear as a discovery platform to be able to find new and different stuff. And if you want to kind of be learning about new and different things, subscribe to our newsletter, check us out on Instagram, and shop small brands either with us or directly through them. Doesn't really matter. But yeah.
Okay. Well, and we'll have the link in our show. It's pretty easy to remember the name of the company. But we'll have the link in the show description, and we'll have it out obviously on our socials and on YouTube and all that stuff. So hey, Lloyd, really appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on our show and hitting on the backpacking trends and just enlightening our audience, both with knowledge and possibly with gear. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, Carl.
All right. So there you go, man. That was Lloyd Vogel, Garage Going Gear. What did you think, man? What did you think?
He's got some good stuff. I got some nuggets I took away from just a lot of like the fabric improvements you guys talked about. There was something I took away that was kind of funny to me. It was like he started talking about, hey, I've been to this location or whatever like 17 to 20 times, and I know myself, and I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to bring this. He was saying something like, basically, it reminded me of you when we were encountering Ranger Annie, and you're like, listen, I've been to all these parts. I know all about all the bears and blah, blah, blah with the bears. I don't need to go. The bears over. Like, you just sounded like this know-it-all. Is that how I sound with Ranger Annie? I was like, are you guys cut from the same cloth? Like, I'm everywhere in Yosemite. I don't know. So it was just kind of, I got a good laugh out of that. But then you mentioned,
that's funny, you
were so adamant. You brought up all of our old invention ideas.
Two.
Like the 10
I brought up
catheter
two.
and like all
That's
this.
not all of their mine. I didn't use yours.
Well, you brought up another one, and he was like, let's just stop at the 10 catheter. I'm like, okay, all right, like all credibility out the window. That's it. But then you were like,
he said that he would sell at least 100 of those a year, and I was like, is this worth me actually pursuing? Should I
actually believe that? I think 100 people would be like, can I pee in the tent and just have it go into like some,
Let's be honest. Really what it would be is something basically like a water reservoir with an extended hose attached to it.
Pretty much.
And then you just kind of gravity feed it out of the tent, and you leave the zipper of your tent like slightly undone. Or some tents actually have like, if you have not the high end ones, but some tents have like the power cord hole. You could kind of slide it out there. So there's you can put the catheter in. So then you mentioned something, and you were very like adamant about it, and you were like, look, you could just, because he was talking about like the fabrics and like, like how much can we really change these fabrics to be better and all this other stuff. And you're like, well, look, let me tell you something. Okay. Maybe I didn't say, let me tell you something.
Let me tell you something, Lloyd. You said, listen, Lloyd, let me just calm down for a minute, Lloyd. That's how I interpreted it in my head. So that's what I'm going to say. So anyway, you're like, look, maybe the fabrics, whatever, but like with the technology and the batteries, like, we could just put like batteries in the blankets and you'll have like warmer fabric. I'm like thinking to myself, like, you need to walk around with like battery fabric all over the place. And then you were just like, you were so adamant though. And you're like, Carl, batteries in the blanket and the thing. Blah,
That's
blah,
not what I said at all. You didn't even listen.
And then you were like, and then you closed it out and you were like, boom, done. And I was like, what? Boom, done. No, that is not done. What are you talking about? Done?
I'm talking about batteries in the clothing. They already make that stuff. They have battery operated jackets. And,
I know, and they're ridiculous.
All that stuff. And I'm just saying the batteries are going to become so small and like so hardly noticeable.
If they're super okay, well, we'll get to that today. But I agreed with him till it's like like the goose can't make more. Better 1,000 goose or whatever it was. Right, so it was good. It was good. But overall, and one other thing I noticed was that something you mocked me for on one of the items we talked about on an episode was the cork balls.
I know you caught it. Good job.
Yes, and he said it was the top 10 seller. And I'm like,
I know. I thought of you. I know.
Yeah, you should.
You win.
Another example where you mock something you don't know.
Okay, that's fine. We can go back to that episode, which was like, what was it, or like small pieces of gear that you should consider or something like that. That was like last spring.
Are you
Bill and Jesse on, and your answers, we had like legit answers, and you're like, get a journal, get a cork ball, get this and that. And so like all three of your answers, if you combine them, were ridiculous. But I will give it to you. The cork ball was
cork balls.
Good answer. Okay.
Thank you.
I'll buy one for you. How about that?
I want to see you use it on the trail.
I'll use it.
Were you gonna buy some of those little political sign material slippers he was talking about?
I did look them up, and they were He was right. I think they were 2 ounces. They were, I forget the price on there. A little too much for my taste, and just for around camp. Like, I feel like my system, I don't need to, it's not just about the weight. It's about like the amount of stuff you're packing your pack and just cycling through stuff when you're looking for something, especially when something gets buried in your pack. I just don't want too much stuff, basically. So, I'm not, but I could see that being a solution for some folks for sure. Good question, man.
That's true. All right.
You hit on the things I wanted to hit on, except for one thing. And he mentioned the top 10 gear items, and he mentioned 2 of the 10 items in the top 10. And he didn't cover all 10, obviously, but he mentioned that like bidets were big time sellers.
Yeah, bidets
and trowels. Like, what?
Trowels? I know. I was like, who are these people that have to buy a trowel?
Right. I knew you would have a strong reaction for sure, man.
Top seller though? Really, a top seller?
Yeah. In fact, speaking of trowels, I found a Vargo titanium trowel on my last backpacking trip. And don't worry, I tread carefully in that area once I found it. And then I kept it, and I'm like, I'm not using this thing. So I literally just sold it on eBay today for not very much money, but I sold it. So
people not buy that crap.
Yeah.
No, I don't even bring one.
Yeah. So anyway, I was just surprised that, like, I guess bathroom stuff sells. And so hence the tent catheter, right? Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, hey man, that was I really appreciated the information and the trends and all the great stuff he provided, and he's very down to earth. You mentioned that, we're cut from the same cloth. Like, he's just a couple levels up for me in terms of being an entrepreneur and actually like pursuing things and striking out and making it happen. I just talk about it, right? We just talk about stuff here.
You're a talker. He's a doer. I get it. Yeah.
He's a doer. Exactly. So full props to him. Hope to have him back on the show again. So Lloyd, thank you so much. It is time though for a review. Speaking of gear stuff, you mentioned this at the beginning of the episode. I've got.
Let's see it.
So this is a Jack Wolfskin. It's a Hydro Grid hooded fleece jacket that we haven't done a review in a while. So I figured I'd review this. I just got it.
You gonna stand up and turn or anything for us, or what? I mean, like,
I can. It's a full zip. It's a full zip. It's style. I'm not really like on.
Is there a hood on it?
Style.
Okay, we got a hood.
Is there a hood on the hooded fleece jacket?
Let's see the hood on the. Oh, look at that.
Doesn't quite go over my headphones there, but
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's stretch fleece. I think it fits well. I think it honestly fits well now that I've lost a few pounds. I think if you're like a chunky Carl, it still fit pretty well actually. It just showed the chunk.
Are the pockets zipper pockets?
They're zipper pockets. They're nice.
Okay. All right.
It's luxury. It wicks well, I think, on a brisk hike. And if you, it's meant to wick. It has a DWR finish, which is durable and water repellent. And so it's good for kind of light rains. I would say this is like best for, your day adventures, your day hikes, your mountain biking, like that kind of thing. It's tight to the body. So it's not going to catch anything, especially if like you're on a bike or whatever. For backpacking, I think this is going to fit and perform well, but it is with the full length zipper. And like you mentioned, the zipper pockets, it does come in at 15 ounces for a size medium, which is on the heavier side. But if you want for some people, like this is worth the extra weight is to be stylish and to have the functionality of it. So you can decide. But overall, for what I'm going to use it for, which is kind of like the day adventures, I'm going to score it 4 out of 5 out of 5 stars.
4 out of 5. Okay. Okay.
Oh, I shouldn't have said stars.
Stars is a little cliche, but
4.5 out of 5.
Zip ups? We going zip ups?
Yeah, zip ups. There you go.
Zip ups.
I'll take it.
Okay. Wow, that's strong.
Okay, yeah. So Jack Wolfskin, have you heard of that brand before?
No, I have not.
Okay. No, they're like a European brand that they've been around for a while. I actually used to use one of their packs in adventure racing, and they made a really good kind of like lightweight pack that fit a lot of stuff basically. I think that I think that that's name's gonna be more common. They're getting out there here in the American markets. You see more of their stuff. So.
Okay.
We're at the forefront of something, Derek. Finally, we're at the beginning of something.
We're on the cusp, Carl.
Yes.
On the cusp.
Yes. All right.
Well, keep an eye out for the garage, the GGG, as they call it.
Yeah, we got some cottage industry trivia coming up right after this.
Whoa.
All right. So cottage industry, it's like what Garage Grown Gear is all, they're known for. They do have some bigger brands on there beyond, like I think they sell some Garmin stuff, but for the most part, it's cottage industry. I went on their site. And I want to know, what do these companies sell? I got 3 of them for you. Okay.
Jeez, I have no
They're
clue.
Multiple choice, man, and you're good at figuring it out. You can do this.
All right, here we go. There we go.
Well, let me ask you, did you go onto their website? Did you check it out?
I didn't have time. I just got this today, right?
Yeah, so I did send this too late. So to your credit, you're right.
We're going to have to find out.
Stuff. on their site, and we actually used it on the Canyonlands trip last year, like the Unpaced, for example. And so, so you should have been on their site. Let's be honest. Come on.
Yeah, come on, Dark. Let's get over there. Let's go.
Here, you might have heard of some of these anyway, because one at least was mentioned on our show before too. So number one,
stuff they sell on their. This is on their website.
This is these are companies that are on their website, and what are they mainly known for? What's something that they sell? And I'm gonna give you a multiple choice.
Brands.
3 options, dude. 3 options.
Brands.
Here we go.
Okay. All right.
Number 1 is Nightcore. Nightcore. All right.
Nightcore.
Do they sell A, headlamps, B, reflective head and armbands, or C, night glasses that have clear lenses?
Nightcore. Night of clear lenses. I mean, I think Nightcore is like batteries for. They have like the battery stuff, right? So LED. Okay. They like flashlights. I'm gonna say headlamps. I guess I'd say like headlamps and stuff.
Headlamps. Like number 1, A,
stuff.
Headlamps is correct. You're already 1 for 1 already.
Yeah.
All right. Well done.
Yeah.
Number 2, Trailtopia. Okay. Trailtopia. Do they sell
Trailtopia?
Trailtopia. This is one we actually mentioned in our podcast before. I think we did, or I've talked to you about this company before. Do they sell A, ankle gaiters, B, ultralight tripods, or C, freeze-dried meals?
Trailtopia. I think I saw a picture of food. I want to say food. I'm going to say meals.
Meals.
Yeah.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah. Final answer.
Correct. Correct. Dude, you already won trivia, man. Wow.
Crushing it.
Are you?
I'm going to have to get some of that.
You're on video now.
Yeah.
Are you like covertly Googling still? Like how
I wish I was that good. I wish I was that good.
All right. Well, let's see if you can go 3 for 3. Through pack, THRU pack. Do they sell A, ditty bags, B, ultralight stuff sacks, or C, fanny packs?
Say not fanny packs. That's terrible.
Why is fanny packs terrible?
What's the other one? Extra
ditty bags, ultralight stuff sacks.
It's a fashion faux pas.
Dude, fanny packs are on trend with backpacks and stuff.
Maybe they do sell fanny packs. I think you put it in there because I hate them. Maybe they do.
I thought you loved fanny packs.
I'm going to go with the fanny
packs. Backpacking trip.
No. That's why I've never worn it since. I'm going to go fanny packs because I think it's the one I hate.
Yeah.
Correct.
Correct.
It's fanny packs. It's fanny packs.
It's fanny packs. Yeah, there's a lot of companies that are selling fanny packs on that site. Like a lot.
Some people love it.
I don't know if I kept that in the interview, but he mentioned that was like an on-trend item. So we'll circle back to whether that's
interesting
on trend later. But
okay.
Trailtopia, just so you know, I did try one of their freeze-dried meals. They were at the Outdoor Retailer show, and not a fan of the one that I tried. So I'll have to try a different one. It was like some sort of like spicy chicken Szechuan something, and it was heavy on the spice, not on the other flavors. So
maybe they have a pesto one. They have a pesto one.
I don't think so. One thing they did do well is their freeze-dried packs aren't as like elongated where you need the long spoon, so you can kind of dive in with a regular size spoon. So that part's
okay.
Good.
Portions were okay.
Portion was good. Yeah, portion was good. All right.
Okay.
Tidbits, dude. We got a new Patreon supporter.
What?
His name is Aaron, and he is actually from your area. He's a Southern California guy. And
Aaron's his name?
Aaron. Aaron. His name's Aaron.
Oh, you're trying to be funany.
No, I'm not trying to be funny. He literally signed it that way when he's like, oh, and he like signed up or whatever. He listed as Aaron, basically. So
okay.
Yeah. You've seen that skit, right?
I've seen that skit. Okay. Long time ago.
Yeah, it's old. So here's a funny story about Aaron is like, I was like, oh yeah, Derek lives in San Clemente. I'm from that area, blah, blah, blah. And then I asked him, like, he mentioned he went to church. So I asked him what church he went to, and he goes to Compass Church. Are you familiar?
I know where that is. That's right. That's like 15 minutes from my house.
Yeah. And so that's Pastor Mike Fabarez. He used to be the pastor of the church that you go to, which is Pacific Coast Church. Do you remember that?
I do.
Okay. So Rocky and I went to that church back in the day.
I do.
And and Pastor Mike is like, I just remember him for having like really solid, awesome sermons, but he's a pretty like intense, serious guy. And so we thought it'd be funny to name our cat after him. So our first cat was Pastor Mike. Yeah. So
I remember him.
So I told Aaron, like, if he ever talks to Pastor Mike, just let him know. He's had a cat named after him. We'll see
Carl Mandrilli named his cat after you.
Yeah.
That's huge.
I think it's funny.
It's hilarious.
Okay, what else we've got? Latest Patreon bonus episode, 6 surprising skills you need backpacking, and Rocky co-hosted that one. That's kind of our early January one that is out. So please check that out. Please join the Patreon family. And if you're looking to support our show a different way, we've got affiliate links in our podcast description, both on YouTube and on our audio apps at no extra cost to you. If you're going to buy some of the gear we're talking about anyway, it's always down there, and you can click on the link, and it helps our show, again, at no extra cost to you. Completely optional, but we're throwing it out there as an option so that we can keep our show going. And that, my friend, is all I got.
That is glorious. Thanks again, guys, for tuning in. We will see you next time. Check out all the handles at backpackingblisters.com. Smash the like button, subscribe it. You've heard me say it again and again. Just keep doing it, and I'll stop eventually once everybody in the world does it. We will see you next time. Strap on a fanny pack. It's going to be a good ride this year. We'll see you next time.